Once, a man with little money was married to a very pretty woman. They never argued. The husband loved his wife and she loved him back. They were really happy. But they had a rich, good-looking neighbor who fell in love with the man's wife. He wanted to marry her himself. Every day, when the husband was working in the fields, the rich neighbor visited their house. "You're beautiful," he told the man's wife, "but your clothes are old. Why doesn't your husband buy you new clothes? I'm sure he doesn't love you. If he did, he'd buy you nice clothes. Divorce him and marry me. I'll get you the best clothes in the land." At first, the woman didn't listen, but the rich neighbor kept saying the same things every day. Finally, she started to think, maybe he's right. Why doesn't my husband buy me new clothes? Maybe he doesn't love me. That night, she told her husband, "Look at me. My clothes are old and ugly. I want new ones." Her husband smiled and said, "You don't need new clothes. You're the most beautiful woman to me." She got mad. "Don't you love me?" she asked. "If you did, you'd buy me a new dress." Her husband loved her and wanted her to be happy. "I don't have much money," he thought, "but I want my wife to be happy." So the next day, he went to the market and bought her a new dress. He gave it to her, and she was so happy. When the rich neighbor came by, she showed him the dress and said, "See, my husband loves me. He bought me this dress." But the rich neighbor wasn't satisfied. "A good husband doesn't just buy clothes," he said. "He gives you gold. Where's your gold necklace? Why doesn't your husband give you gold?" He showed her some beautiful gold jewelry. "Leave your husband and marry me, and I'll give you all of this." The woman didn't listen at first. "I love my husband, and he loves me," she said. But the rich neighbor kept coming back, showing her the jewelry every day. Eventually, she started to think, maybe he's right. Why doesn't my husband buy me gold? Doesn't he love me? That day, she didn't cook dinner for her husband. When he came home, she told him there was no dinner because he didn't love her. Her husband was shocked. "But I do love you," he said. "You're the most wonderful person in the world." "Then why don't you buy me gold jewelry?" she asked. Her husband was worried. "I already spent money on her dress," he thought. "How can I afford gold?" So he went to his brother for help. His brother gave him money and he bought gold jewelry for his wife. She was so happy. The next day, her husband went to work early. The rich neighbor came by again. "Did your husband make a miracle for you yesterday?" he asked. "Leave him and love me, and I'll make many miracles for you." The woman started to listen to him. One day, when her husband came home, she was sad. "Why are you sad?" he asked. "Don't you know I love you?" "You don't make miracles for me," she said. Her husband was surprised. "Miracles? I can't do that," he said. "Why do you want miracles?" "Our neighbor said love makes miracles," she said. "If you love me, you'll make miracles for me." Her husband was worried. That man wants to take you away, he thought. The next day, while her husband was at work, the rich neighbor came again. "Can your husband make miracles now?" he asked. "Yes," she said, and she touched him with a stick. He turned into a donkey. She took the donkey to her husband, who put it to work in the fields. Years passed, and the donkey helped the husband become rich. One day the husband felt sorry for the donkey. He touched it with another stick, and the rich neighbor returned, old and tired. "Go home and don't bother us again," the husband said. And they lived happily ever after.